Everybody for another talk about relationships. Today's talk is going to be a little bit maybe controversial to some people. It's going to be about cheating. Stick around. We have a lot to discuss and maybe debate about. I have my uh, guests here, and then we'll talk more about what are some parts that relate to cheating that can be beneficial to us. Stick around.
This is waiting like with YouTube on, like it's happening. I'm not delivering my food.
I really hope that was not what was happening. All right, so we're going to talk about cheating. So when was the last time you did it? I'm just joking. This is not what we're going to be talking about, right? We're not going to be talking about personal stuff. But we want to learn about this behavior, right? From a psychological point of view, it's considered a behavior, right? So this behavior can be common, honestly, uh, with with a lot of people. It's really like it doesn't have a specific sex that does it more than the other. It's quite common in any relationship. So, what are your thoughts? What's considered cheating? What do you guys think? Not you personal, but what do you think people would think is considered to be cheating?
What people would think?
Yeah.
People would think cheating is mostly when their loved one does something physical with another person that is not in a relationship. And yeah, it hurts them. They're not okay with it. It destroys the relationship. Mm.
Yeah. By the way, this is Inj, and next to her is
Hi,
Adam.
Image.
Hi, madam.
Yep. All right. So I'm hearing is like physical. What about from your side, Adam?
Yeah, so I think it's also important to note that uh, there are different types of cheating. Yeah,
Mm.
physical is one, but definitely emotional as well.
Mm.
And it's definitely a topic to be discussed because what is considered cheating? Where do we draw the line of what is cheating, what is not?
Yeah. Well, how do we draw the line?
Perspective.
Perspective.
Subjective.
Subjective.
Yes.
So what help can we help people listening to this or attending here? We have about 10 people here. So what can we share with them something that would be other than subjective and objective and directive and all that stuff?
Well, yeah, some may say that, let's say at a workplace, at a working environment, you are in a relationship with somebody, but at your workplace, you talk to your colleagues and all that, like opposite gender,
Hmm.
let's say. Uh, if they send personal photo to you
Mm.
and you think they look cute or they look good,
Yeah.
so if you compliment that person or that colleague, your partner may find that as cheating.
So I
Because
cannot send a message to a colleague and tell her. Does it have to be the opposite gender or can it be?
it could be, well, anything, I guess.
That's a
Okay,
completely
so
different topic.
so if we were to say that I sent a message to an opposite gender colleague of mine, she's saying that they're going out for dinner. I was like, "What are you wearing? Show me a picture."
Mm,
And she sent me a picture. I was like, "Nah, that doesn't look like your style." And
mm,
she would go and change it to something else. And she would change it. And let's say my girlfriend, my fiance, my wife, my whatever, see that.
mm.
Is that considered cheating?
What is the intention of asking?
Well, you wouldn't know. I mean, if you were to assume that you're in that relationship, you wouldn't know the intention. So how would you approach that? If you were the wife, if you were the girlfriend, or for you, if you
Well,
were if you were the
if
boyfriend, if you were
Boyfriend?
the
hypothetically,
husband. Yeah,
right, okay.
hypothetically, yeah.
So let's say I'm the husband of somebody, right? And my wife tells me, "Oh, I'm going to dinner with my colleague, a male colleague." Uh, my personal approach, I would go for, I'll ask obviously because relationship, you know, you have to speak, you have to converse.
Mm.
It's better for me to understand and react. That's my personal opinion.
Mm.
Because
It's better too.
it's better to like ask than to react, to respond impulsively.
Mm.
But definitely there's a question there because I'm like, okay, so why are you having a one-to-one dinner with your colleagues? What is the dinner for? And then why are you asking? Oh,
Well, we're doing some work. We just have to do some work, and we gotta
Yeah.
eat.
But then there's so many like accessory things like I don't like you wearing that. Wear something else. Oh, you look good in that. So from an external perspective, I might think, okay, that's a bit weird because some of the questions are a bit personal. Okay, I think you look good in this. I think you look good in that. But why though?
I see.
What is
So
the purpose?
it's kind of a, like what I'm hearing is like can be triggering for
Yeah, it
you
could be. Yeah.
to at least open a conversation,
Mm.
to explore more.
Mm.
All right. Some people will say that's a red line. You cheated. I'm out. I don't want to be in this relationship. Is that wrong? I see you laughing. What was that about?
Can't smile?
I'm just asking. I'm just trying to observe and elaborate that smile. What does that mean?
Okay, how would you rephrase what you just asked?
How would I rephrase what?
What you just asked me.
What did I just ask you?
Exactly, what did you just ask me?
No, what I said is that I said I made a comment and you said, "What's the, you're smiling." I was like, "What's that smile about?"
Oh, I thought we moved past that.
No, I want to know what's that smile about. You don't want to share, that's fine, but assuming that the person said, "Oh, is that what you want to do?" You know what? Forget it. I don't want to be in this relationship. I'm out. How do you manage that? Is that the right thing to do in a relationship?
It definitely depends. If just in case if someone were to do that to me or someone I'm close to, I'd say that it is very them doing that in a way is very disrespectful and not respecting you as a person. And
So if I were to say that,
Mm.
like for example, like we're in a relationship,
sure.
God forbid. Sorry. Sorry. And and then you have these text messages
Right.
for your colleagues, Adam, and Adam's showing you what he's going out with, and you say, "Oh, that's better," or maybe you're showing them what you're going out with to see your friends and all that. But you're not going out with Adam, but you're just sharing these information. And I come and see these pictures and these messages because we have this phone system that we can see everybody's
Right.
messages, right? We have that. And then all of a sudden I say, "Oh my goodness, what have you been doing? You know what? I don't want to be a part of this. I'm out. You can go with your Adam and you do whatever you want to do. I don't want to be a part of this." And I walk out. So how?
So that's why, again, like I said, it's very important to have that communication for sure. So that's why I personally rather would try to understand it rather than react first.
Mm.
Because when you react, everything's on impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Just think instinctively, okay, that's kind of trashy. I'm out. But I'd rather try to like, oh, okay, I might find it kind of weird, so I would try to communicate. But yeah, to a certain
You would
extent,
communicate after the fact I noticed it, or after finding that
I
out.
think it's very important to definitely clarify because again, a relationship is a two people thing.
Mm.
I think it's important to have individuality, you have
Mm.
your own space, your own whatever you want to do. But you are in a relationship and you have to understand like, okay, what does my partner think? Right? Because in the end both of you are a team.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess being open and being honest is very important as well.
Right. Any thoughts from the audience? What do you guys think?
I agree.
Which one? We talked about so many things. Which one you agree to?
That in the end of the day, a relationship involves two people, right?
Right.
So of course, the experience may cause a person to have certain reservations about their partner's action, like why are they meeting someone and they were dressing up so fancy. But in the end of the day, it's always best to communicate and to communicate rationally
Mm.
in a appropriate amount of time because you cannot also like wait for a month and you kind of like drag it out.
You can't drag it out. You can't wait for a month. How long can you wait? What's a guideline to wait on talking about such a topic?
I mean, if there is a delay, personally, not more than 3 days.
No more than 3 days.
And that should only be to settle yourself. It shouldn't be to hold a grudge. It shouldn't be to, yeah, it depends on intent.
Not to hold a grudge. Depends on the intent.
Shouldn't be to like use it as leverage some other time.
Kind of set a time. Send him an invite on the calendar. I need to talk to you about your. I'm just being sarcastic. Send an AR. Yeah, yeah. Those are very famous. What do you think, man?
Depends on the person. If the person is okay with that other person going out, but exchanging.
Well, I'm not okay. I saw the messages. I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm out.
Me, I will just walk off.
You walk out.
Yeah.
My kind of guy.
But also, if you're just willing to walk out of the relationship without even an attempt to communicate your feelings first, how much did you respect that relationship, or how much did you care about that relationship?
Obviously, my partner did not. She's checking out with Adam. She's checking out what his dress is
You know the
and what.
Yeah,
No assumption. It's right there in the messages.
Okay, but what if Adam dresses really bad at all times?
How about me?
Why?
Who's checking my dressing? How come she's not checking my dressing?
Why would she give ideas to Adam?
Yeah. Why?
Because you don't want to be seen outside with somebody who just.
They're not going outside together. He's on his own, but she's giving him tips on how to dress. I know that you're looking cuter in this one. What are your thoughts? What are you giggling about?
Please share.
some insecurity on your part.
That's great. Oh wow. So that shows insecurity on my part. But actually, I am coming from. I cherish this relationship very much, and I find an intruder.
You say your love is unconditional.
Every love is conditional. All love is conditional. You have to exist to love, so it's conditional. I got you on that one. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I think you would consider that.
Because my rights have been violated and I have been replaced.
What about my rights?
To
Huh?
explain her.
What about your rights? You don't.
Have a
We
friend.
don't have rights to intimately to connect with other people other than marriage.
That's
What
why I
is
think
your What's your idea of intimate?
intimacy, yeah.
Oh, intimate.
Did you ask or make an effort to ask?
We've been in this relationship for so long. She doesn't even know what I like and what I don't like. I don't need to ask.
True.
But these are the things that you guys really need to be mindful of. These are the things that happens. If you are in that situation, now we're talking about it, we're having fun, we're enjoying this conversation and this role play. But in reality, when you are in that situation, you really, really cannot predict how would you react to that, honestly. Because, I mean, just sharing with you from experience, there is really no good way or wrong way to do it. However, if it comes down to this point, for me to communicate, therefore I missed the boat to communicate with my partner for all these years, or all that, what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. So I don't want to communicate when that happens. So in order for me to trust your intention, that must have been established. That communication has to be established. What I like and what I don't like must have been established. But what happens most of the time in relationship, generally speaking, and I really generalize, I don't mean to point out that this is bad across, the couples take things for granted, especially when kids come about. When children come in the relationship, we take each other for granted.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, as friends, we also take each other for granted, don't we? We're really guilty of doing that, I feel. Most of us, generally speaking. There are some super duper relationship gurus out there. They're really good.
I knew that was coming.
But we cannot take relationships for granted. It's really important to nurture the relationship, and the only thing that we can do to nurture relationship is what? Adam, you mentioned it first. Was what?
Communication.
Communication. Communication. So if there's communication and this happens, I really find it very unusual for it to happen in the first place if that communication has been established, right? But what if you knew the do's and don'ts that I like and I don't like, and you're in the relationship, and you just kind of like you know your partner's rights, what they like and what they don't like, and they do something you didn't like
Then I'm just disrespecting you as a person
by doing what?
by apparently texting him.
See, the answer now is different because no, that's good because the whatchamacallit, what's accepted
It's
by the
established.
part is established, the foundation, and that's the culture. That's every relationship has a culture. What happens in most relationship? What do? We bring daddy and mommy's culture. You bring your daddy and mommy culture to the relationship, and you bring in two cultures in that relationship, and that coexistence of co-culture. I said it correctly. It is a recipe for disaster unless you sit down and build your culture together. You need to come up with your own culture. If your parents were open and very like have an open relationship or whatever you want to call it, and you don't like that, you don't have to adapt to that, or your partner doesn't like that. You don't have to normalize it to your parents. You really need to invest with your partner. And that's really good that you mentioned what you mentioned earlier about that would be disrespectful because you already know what I like and what I don't like, or what your partner likes and what you don't like. So yeah, so the answer for the same question is different because the establishment exists. Any thoughts? Anything you would like to add to that? Set boundaries. Yeah. Tell me more. What does that mean?
Basically, everything you said, the likes and don't likes, the line, the exact line, so that your partner knows what exactly is respectful, what isn't respectful. If they need a reminder, sure, but after a few times, it's like,
It's not nice, right? It's really not nice. I agree. Yeah, that's good.
I guess to a certain extent, also, you have to just naturally know what might be harmful to your relationship, even if it hasn't been communicated pre-hand. Like, yeah, okay, you're communicating, which is awesome. That's so important.
Mm.
Some things you tend to miss. I guess naturally, as a person, we should just, I don't know, have something in you. Common sense, courtesy.
Like what?
Like what?
Yeah, that's an example. I'm sorry?
Don't send your personal pictures to other.
Sending your personal picture, like just the courtesy is like, yeah, this is not something that my partner would like. Is that what an example?
Sure, that could be an example for Mahim.
For me, yeah.
anything physical.
Anything physical? Hmm. Yeah. So what defines common sense or common sense or what? What was I thinking? I don't remember.
Can I say that common ground that both parties' boundaries are being tolerated?
Right. And that's what it takes to tango. You really need to kind of you cannot tango alone. You really need to have a partner, and the relationship is like tango. You need to kind of sense the moves of your partner, and you will know exactly what's the next move. So the more you, excuse me, the more you quote unquote dance, the more you know how to read your partner. So the more we communicate in the relationship, the more we know each other. And why do we communicate?
Communication is the key to everything.
Yeah, but what's the purpose of communicating? Compromise. I hate that word.
Collaborate.
Collaborate. Yeah, I like that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, collaboration happens. I'm sorry?
Understanding each other.
Understanding each other. That's the purpose of communication. Some people want to be heard, some people want to exist, some people want like insecure, they just need to be always validated. But the bottom line is we communicate to understand. Understand ourselves, understand our partner, but most importantly, to feel understood. That's really why we communicate, is to feel understood. So your partner can say, yeah, I understand. We talked about this so many times, but you don't feel understood. You don't feel like the partner understands what you're saying. They think they understand. And I've heard that so many times from friends, from family members, from colleagues, from clients, you name it. But people really, we kind of tend to skip the understanding and we just jump into the action. Do you guys relate to that? Am I the only one who gone through this? Okay, I'm normal. All right, good.
Your question was?
I'm sorry?
Hmm?
Yeah, nothing.
No.
All right, good. So what what normalize it? What's normal? What makes things normal? What makes things acceptable? If you were to, um, like we said about earlier, the boundaries, where do these boundaries come from? And what makes them normal or abnormal or acceptable or not acceptable?
The idea of what everyone in the relationship is comfortable with,
Okay.
what makes it normal. Anything out of anything causing any kind of discomfort, hurt, pain, emotional, whatever, that's not normal.
Mm. What about if I wanted to be or somebody wants to be in a relationship that is open?
If there is consent from both partners and from the third, fourth, whatever party, I think that should be okay.
What are your thoughts, Adam?
I mean, yeah, as long as there is an establishment of what you guys want. I think it's quite important to also understand what you seek in a partner. So, like for example, you said an open relationship, right? You can't just be one person looking for an open relationship, another one's committed.
Yeah.
What is the point of even being together there?
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of conflicts.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, I guess there are exceptions whereby one might be very insecure, like the example you gave just now,
Mm.
how you were acting towards in. That could also be like huge insecurities, because some might be seen possibly as a little bit much. Yeah, so let's say you text a colleague about, okay, are you coming in for work today? You say no, and then you say okay, and then your partner sees that and you're like, what the heck is that?
Mm.
Yeah. So
So what is the heck of that?
yeah, that's also a little. That's also different, right? That's more also about themselves.
Hmm.
As much as you have to have an establishment, you have to also understand, are you being a little much? Like, why are you overthinking everything? Because certain things might be like, okay, let's say you accidentally bump your colleagues at work.
Yeah.
By accident on the shoulder. And you tell a partner, oh, this person hit me by accident. And they say, but why are you walking there?
Yeah.
Why are you walking beside them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, so what do we do with someone who's insecure in a relationship? Do we ignore their needs? Do we tell them to change? What?
I think it's quite important to acknowledge it for sure.
Okay.
Try to understand why do they feel like every single little thing.
I can say that, oh, I've been in relationships before and I've been cheated on so many times.
Then I think it's very important to reassure.
To
Reassure.
reassure.
To communicate.
You're not ready for, wow, okay. So you're not ready for a relationship because you've gone through a few relationships that you were betrayed. So I was betrayed. How come I'm not ready for a relationship? I am. Okay.
Why are you carrying your baggage from the last person to the next person and giving them a hard time?
So?
It's not something that somebody else.
So how could that be a reason for me not to connect with another person? That shouldn't be a reason.
You can take caution, but you can't really hold the other person accountable for how your specific perspective of things, they might not see it the way you do, and if you don't explain it to them, this is like assuming that you.
Plus, you can't really expect everybody to deal with your insecurities.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of a personal journey.
It's unfair to treat your new partner the same way, as your previous.
It's
Yeah,
not. It's not
because
fair.
A partner is not a babysitter, right? You can't just go to someone and say, okay,
Mm.
because in general, like a general way of looking at it, it's like I'm here, I'm broken, you have to understand me, you have to fix me. But that's kind of very one-way-ish.
Mm.
I guess in a way, how I would put it is if your partner was showing that side of them, firstly, you obviously want to understand, okay, how come you feel this way? Okay, you faced this in the past. Of course, it's not fair to me, it's not fair to you, it's not fair to this relationship. What can we do about it? Right? Someone said reassure.
I said
Yeah, he said it.
I said that.
Yes, you did. Reassuring you. Yeah, so I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that they are feeling this way. There's some kind of pain, some this. Again, yeah, it's not fair that you bring that into this relationship. At the same time, it is something, to an extent at least, you could work together with. Okay, you're not fixing them. You're not fixing them. If you really care about this person and you want this to work, there could be some way.
Mm.
Okay, how can we work on this? Right?
Mm.
What is it that you can do? What is it that I can do? What are both of us okay with?
Mm.
We can give this a shot.
Okay. So the earlier answer was like, I'm not ready for a relationship.
Okay.
Isn't that opposite of what we spoke about earlier? If my partner is okay with, you know, that's the culture we build, and if they're okay, everybody had consensus that this is the way to move forward. So what decides that? I mean, I find that the opinion of the person who gone through many betrayals in previous relationships, the comment was like, yo, you're not ready for a relationship, for a new one. I find that quite unfair, and it's contradicting to the earlier point that we made.
No, because over time it makes you insecure to the point where something that's not supposed to affect you.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about it to my partner at the early stage in our relationship, and they're okay with that, isn't this what it's all about? It's about communication.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. This is the commitment that. Right. Yeah. So it's not about insecurity. It's just about that's what I need in the relationship. So are you okay with that? So if my partner is okay with that, who is to decide that it's not really a good time for me to have a relationship?
Nobody.
Yeah, right?
Because you're in an agreement there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm open about it. I'm not having an agenda to trick them into a relationship, right? And then I'll put them in a jail, or I'll put them in a cage, not jail, but in cage.
Yeah.
So I am open about it, and my partner is okay with it. She's totally fine. Why not?
See, I feel like a relationship is definitely all about dynamics. You don't necessarily have to be a certain way to be eligible for a relationship. As long as you compliment whoever you are with and both understand each other's needs and agrees to it, then okay. Unless it sort of like puts you in harm or you want to harm other people, then that's different.
That's an agenda there, right? That's a totally different agenda. It's a unilateral agenda,
Yeah.
and that's not good for the relationship. So yeah, so in my mind, like I think we talked about the open relationship, and as long as my partner is okay with it, that's okay with it.
Yeah.
But if I want to have an open relationship, why start a relationship in the first place? But when I said something about I had betrayals and I had so many cheats in the previous, somebody's like, oh, you're not ready for the next one. But you know what? You see what I'm saying there? So it's kind of like double standards. But we cannot have these double standards because it's really important to emphasize the importance of communication between the couple. If they both agreed with open relationship, they can date and have all these other relationships. From a relationship perspective, that's very dangerous. The relationship is not healthy. It's not. It's the other way around. So I was told, yeah, I heard that it's open as long as they all agree, and that's okay. But actually, in relationship, you do not want to be a third. You don't want to have a third person in the relationship. It's an intimate relationship. It's a very special relationship. Like if you were a therapist, I mean, would you go see two doctors at the same time?
But what about
Would you go see two therapists at the same time? They're both there.
These are completely different roles.
But you cannot have that intimate relationship with someone to talk to them about your personal, and you be vulnerable with them and be intimate with them. If there's a third person there, it's not balanced. But going back to cheating, why do people cheat? I'm sorry? Sex addiction? Yeah, what? They get bored of each other. Yeah, that's very common. I don't mean to say no to sex addiction, but yeah,
You wanna try something
yeah. The grass is greener on the other side.
Never enough.
Never enough.
They don't really know what they want.
They don't know what they want.
Insecurity.
Insecurity. That's possible. Yeah. All these are valid. Anyone else would like to add?
To get their unmet needs from
Yeah. Yeah. Their needs are unmet from the first person. You know what? I'll just go ask it from another person. But actually, they don't ask it. They're getting it from the other person, but they never asked for it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That they're getting it without asking for it? Like, what's an example for that?
I mean, I guess it just sounds like they just engage it anyways.
They
Regardless.
they engage it.
They engage in whatever they need as their need.
Oh, the other person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's generally speaking, pretty much. Yeah.
Also,
But the wife is busy with the children and cooking and cleaning. She's not engaging. But my need is engaging. So I don't sit and talk to my wife and help her with the house and help her with the children so we can engage. So I find the easy way out. And I engage with someone else who is available. Yeah, sorry, you want to say something? You forgot. Let me know if you remember. So most of the time, people cheat is not really for sex. Most of the time, it's emotional, irrational, connection, engaging, just being heard, just being there and just reacting to my jokes and laugh at my jokes. Or just be friendly with in my presence, or I be friendly with you. I do something, you acknowledge it. And that's really what people, when they get that outside the relationship, they start investing in more in that.
that's the thing. If it's a little less in your relationship and you see it outside,
You're gonna jump on it. Yeah, it's not easy. I would say in these kind of circumstances, what do we do? What do we tell people? What are you supposed to do? Instead of starting a new relationship or focusing on the grass is greener on the other side, what can we do to help people in that kind of circumstance? Because it's really common. It's like 65% of Americans cheat in America. The rest they cheat in Europe, but that's a different story. That's a joke. It's an American joke. I'm glad that you guys are laughing at an American joke. A lot of people don't laugh at American
What
jokes.
does that mean?
It's a joke. Just drop it.
Okay, it's dropped.
So what do you think? I mean, it's really common to have people in a relationship, they have that connection from someone else. What do we tell them? What can we do to advise them? Suck it up. Be patient, you get rewarded. That's very common in a religious community. Sabar, sabar, right? It's very common.
Well, I guess if you do know someone who is, indulging in fidelity, uh, again, there's a reason
Yeah.
as to why that person is doing
Yeah,
it.
I feel I'm in a relationship. I'm alone in a relationship. I don't exist.
Yeah, and when you do know somebody like that, it's best to, hey, let's talk about it if they're comfortable. And if they are, you sit down, you have a full conversation, what might be going on, like what might make you want other things out of this relationship. Try to understand. And mainly the point is it's about yourself, yeah? It's not about your partner. When you're cheating, it's never about your partner. It's always about yourself, what you want. You don't see that, I'm out.
Yeah.
So it's best to work on yourself and figure out things like what you want, what you like, what you prefer, respecting yourself, respecting the other person, respecting the relationship. Otherwise, by cheating, you are disrespecting your relationship and the person. So just keeping everything into consideration, very, very important. Start with yourself.
Start with the man in the mirror. So Adam, what if I were to challenge that? What Inge mentioned. What if I were to challenge? I say I'm not talking to my wife about it because I see how hard she's working. She comes from work. She cooks for us. She does the laundry. She does the house, and I just don't want to add more on her to burden her more to talk to me. And how is she gonna make time? So I'm just trying to kind of mind my own business and just get my high dosage of fun with this person or that person. I'm just doing it to save her from more burdens.
I mean, it sounds like a false messiah.
Oh,
You know, you think
I like
you
that.
know what's best for you. You think you know what's best for the whole situation.
I like that.
Just
That's a very
because,
good answer.
just because you are, it's like you're trying to think for other people.
Yeah, yeah. I'm giving myself excuses, really.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I don't want to give myself, I don't want to give more work
I mean, you're not
done.
saving the day. You're not a hero.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not. Stop trying to give like reasons.
yeah. I'm not seeing myself as a helper to my
Yeah.
wife, right? I'm not seeing myself. I can assist
I think if anything, it's
around.
worse.
Yeah,
It
that's
makes
right.
everything worse.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's why it's really important to be mindful. That courtesy, you mentioned courtesy earlier. So courtesy is very important to understand that your wife doesn't have to do everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything. I mean, if that's the culture, fine. But if there is something missing in the relationship, don't take that for granted and just look it outside. Because believe me, the second you go to that grass that you thought it was green on the other side, it might look green for the first week, first month, first year. It will be the same grass if you spend the same amount of time that you spent with your wife or with your partner.
Mm.
Agreed?
Great.
Point made. Settled. Any thoughts or questions? I got you on your tippy toes, didn't I? Sorry, I'm just giving you a hard time. Any thoughts or questions? Anybody disagree with anything that we talked about?
So no matter who you marry, things are gonna get better after 2020.
True. Yeah. That's why we don't take it for granted. That's why we always need to nurture relationship. Nurturing doesn't have to be like spending money, going in a vacation and spending all this time looking for places, but there is really no connection. You go to these beautiful places, but it's so stressful. The travel and all that. I'm sorry? It can be very stressful. It doesn't have to be, but most of the time, people go out and have vacations. They fight, yeah. They end up bringing up their problems, and they would have good times. Don't get me wrong. They would have good times, but it can't. I'm sorry. It doesn't solve the stress in the relationship. Absolutely, and that's really what it comes out. There's still no close connection. They would connect to the scenery. They would connect to the beautiful food, but there's still that distance between them. Is still not fixed yet. So it doesn't have to be so extravagant and so big, and it can be just 20 minutes of your time, of her time, sitting together and chit chat. Be silly, be honest, be open, be vulnerable. And it's very not easy for men. I would imagine it's the biggest thing for a man to do is to conquer feeling vulnerable. I would say that's a very strong person. For a man to feel vulnerable, I think that's really, really admirable. And I don't mean to say that because I'm a man. It's just really I can see it from clients, from friends. It's just not an easy thing. I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
Personally, yes, agree.
Yeah, it's not something we are like wired to do, but we can learn it. We can definitely learn it. And if I'm not comfortable to feel vulnerable with my partner, who am I going to be feeling vulnerable with? Just my boss? Because we all feel vulnerable with the boss. I don't care how man you are. And I don't care how masculine you think you are or manly you are. You will feel vulnerable in front of your boss. So it's okay to feel vulnerable in front of your boss, but it's not okay to feel vulnerable in front of your wife. That's a problem. Yeah? No. What do you want to share? You share something? Oh. Yeah? I missed it. What was the explanation? All right. So, any last thoughts or questions before we end today's chat? Any last thoughts?
I guess I just like to add one more thing. The thing we just spoke about a few minutes ago about how your husband is there, your wife's doing all this stuff, you want to talk about it, but you don't want to burden her and everything. I think it's important to understand that her chores, your chores, her life is very different from your relationship. So when you say I don't want to burden her with this, it doesn't come under the same category. Do you get
Doesn't
what I'm saying?
come under the same category. Yeah, but I was giving myself excuses. So I don't talk to her. So I don't do work. That's the role that I was playing.
Yeah.
Because I was saying that I'm just doing it for the good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what Adam says. Like, you're assuming what's good for the relationship. You're assuming what's good for her, and that's exactly what I was doing. But that's the common answer. That's very common for people. I mean, I'm saying it as a man, but the girl or the female in the relationship would do the same thing. It's like, oh, I see how my husband is really hardworking, and I really don't want to burden him, and they just make that decision on their own, unilateral, to just decide on their own what's best for the relationship. But that's not fair.
It's very unfair.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
It is.
Very
It is. And that's why you add a third person that is not something that we've discussed. Having that kind of relationship, coexisting relationship at the same time, it jeopardizes the original relationship. Even if it's polygamy, it impacts the first relationship, whether we like it or not. It does impact it. Yeah, good thoughts. Adam, last thoughts? You're happy?
Very happy.
All right, me too. Thank you all for joining us. Until the next talk, what? Okay?
She was so ready to
She was about to cry?
slap.
Oh, to clap. Yeah. Until the next talk, stay happy. Thank you all.